Hey everyone, and welcome to a new show that we are trying out. We don't have a name for it, so we just kind of come up with The Gay Show, because that's what we've been calling it for, I don't know, a few months now as we've been talking about doing this, and we just haven't come up with anything creative, so we figured, the most direct and honest name. So as the name implies, this is a show geared more toward the LGBTQ community, traveling to Disney, traveling to Orlando, and discussing things that are germane to that audience. Of course, myself being a member of that community, along with the rest of the people sitting in the studio right now. I'm joined by Rhino Clavin, our associate producer.
Just assuming I'm a homosexual.
Nobody assumes, we all just know.
Really. Opens her mouth and a purse falls out.
What are you suggesting? Sorry, that probably blew out your sound a little bit.
It did a little bit, yeah.
The only thing gayer than Rhino in the room, our other associate producer, Mr. Oliver Green.
Hello, everyone. I am a massive homosexual. I don't even know how to start this. Yes.
Yeah, you don't have to qualify.
AA for gays.
Just speak, and everyone knows. A friend of ours that is joining us for this show and will be on the Tuesday show occasionally. He just moved into the Orlando area from New York City. Brian Torpy.
Hi, how are you?
He's not as gay as the rest of us.
Yeah, I'm representing the lesbian community.
Yes, he's. So the idea for this kind of came up really not too long after the Pulse shooting in downtown Orlando, which didn't happen too far at all from where we're sitting right now. And, part of what I think that event did for us in specific, and certainly for, I think, the greater community here in Orlando in general, was, I think it made us all realize just how great this community is here. Mm-hmm. The way everyone has come together and stayed together, because it's still present. It's still, no one's forgotten. No one's moved on. I mean, we've moved on in, a certain way that, it's a tragedy, and
In the appropriate moving on.
in the appropriate way. Thank you. But, we were sitting here saying, what is it we can do? And I had wanted to do something either on the show or on the site aimed at the gay and lesbian community. And then, thought, okay, this might be a good way to do it. And one of the ways we felt that we would be able to support the community through this would be to, on occasion, focus on some of the gay and lesbian owned businesses that are all around Orlando, specifically ones that we have no relationship with. So I don't want it to be a quid pro quo that we're getting advertising money or anything like that. The only ones, in fact, that I will feature on this show will be businesses that we have no relationship with whatsoever. And because there is as we've kind of researched and looked, and plus just living here and knowing, there is this amazing community of gay-owned businesses in Orlando, in all sorts of areas, in all sorts of ways. And, one of the reasons I thought focusing on that might be a good idea is that I really feel that, our community, when we come to Disney, come to Orlando, more likely to travel off property and kind of be more interested in seeing what the local community is like. And so we want this show to be part of that. We want this show to be something that kind of focuses on that. But also we want to talk about issues that are relevant to our community in terms of traveling to Orlando, Disney, Universal, SeaWorld, Greater Orlando area in general. If that all sounds like we don't have a nailed down format for this show, it's because we don't have a nailed down format for this show. We've been talking about this for a couple of months. I'm sick of talking about it. And I said to these guys, we are going to sit down on today and we are going to turn the cameras on and we're going to do this and got to see where it goes. So the first thing I'm going to put out there is I'm going to ask you for your feedback. Ask you to tell us what it is you'd like to see from this show appropriately. Okay, I know the audience I'm speaking to, and I know what just went through your minds when I said that, because it went through mine too.
Oliver's still on that calendar kick.
I've always said we should do a calendar.
No,
for charity.
we're not doing a damn calendar. Okay, we don't. Nobody needs to see Rhino in a thong.
Well, I will leave it at that. Scour the internet.
So, if you want to send us some feedback, the easiest way to do it is to head out to our website, disunplugged.com. And there on the homepage on the right-hand side, you're going to find a big graphic, Leave Us Feedback. There you'll have two options. You'll be able to fill out a form that sends an email to us, or you can leave us a voicemail directly on your computer. And tell us what you think. Tell us what the issues are, the things are that are important to you when you travel here, things that we can research, talk about, share our experience with, and what are some of the things you'd like to see from this show? What are, give us your feedback.
Well, one of the things I'm already going to say, the reason why I like the idea of what we're doing here is that I almost wish this existed wherever I was going to go on vacation, because whenever I have friends or family or whoever, around the country, like I have a really good friend from Massachusetts who just moved to Portland, Oregon. And, the first question I always ask is like, what's the gay scene like there? And I don't necessarily mean what's the clubs, what's the whatever. I just mean what's the vibe. Like my friend Maura, she lives in South Carolina in Charleston. And so the first time I went, I'm like, well, what's the vibe? And she's like, it's very comfortable. And so now we have these spots that we go to every time I'm there. And so it's nice to know what are those, I don't want to say safe havens, but those comfort zones. Like where are places that the gay community finds comfortable in areas that they go to. And since we live here, I figure, I like the idea of being able to like bring that part of Orlando out. Like it's not just Disney, but it's like a little side pocket on your vacation. Your little pocket gay.
The other, something that I want to make sure I say as well. Obviously, the show is aimed at the LGBTQ community. That doesn't mean that straight people can't watch.
Get out of here.
You can. I accept and embrace you. Right. Even though what you do in bed makes me sick to my stomach.
We accept your lifestyle.
We accept your lifestyle.
We don't understand.
We celebrate
it.
you.
Yeah.
We don't understand it, but we celebrate it. But no, seriously, I don't want this to be, gay and gay friendly. Whoever wants to join us in this, not trying to be exclusive with it, but in specific, because we are such a, let's say, a gay heavy organization, and got a lot of the gays working for me. My business partner and his husband.
Hey!
What?
Cut to me.
When you said I got a lot of gays, I cut to Rhino immediately.
I could see how this is going to go. Obviously, I'm an owner in Dreams Unlimited Travel, along with John Magi and his husband Kevin Close, and so Dreams is a gay-owned business. The Diz is a gay-owned business. I own the Diz, so this place has been very, very, very gay for a long time. Just with the advent of the show and video, it's just more obviously, and Rhino, it's more obviously gay.
Cut to
than it
me in a
was.
sprinkle shower of glitter on a dance floor whenever that happens. This is me on a dance floor, by the way. You're welcome.
Oh, really? Now, Brian, you just moved here. I mean, literally, like within the last month, you moved to Orlando. Why don't you just tell everybody a little bit about yourself? They all know us. They don't know you.
Yeah. Well, I just moved here from New York. I retired as a New York City police officer after 14 years. Up there is a very defined gay community and neighborhoods, which is different than down here, and what Rhino was saying about a safe haven. In New York City, where the gay neighborhoods are, and where you can go and be gay, and you don't necessarily know that here in Orlando. So trying to, find a place. In all the years I've been coming here, and I only came out when I was 31, I'm 38 now. In all the years I've been coming here, I have not set foot into a gay bar. I never knew where they were. I always heard about, a couple of names and here and there, but it was never something that I left Disney property to do. And I guess that's what's going to be different now living here,
Have
at
you
the
yet,
time.
since you've been here, been in
No, I
one
still
yet?
haven't.
Oh, good.
Still haven't. No, I've been busy.
I'm
setting up
excited
the house
to take
and things.
this
and-
journey with you.
Yes. So this is a learning experience for
Yeah.
me as much as it is for everybody else.
You'll have to, I'm sure they'll be happy to take you around. I don't do the bars.
Yeah.
I have no desire to do the bars. I left that behind when I was, 18. And
Just when he was allowed to go in, he stopped going.
but I think that's an important, all kidding aside, I think that's an important point to make that, one of the things when we were talking about a little earlier is, what we were going to talk about today, a lot of discussions came up about the bar scene here in Orlando. And while I think that's important to talk about, and at some point we will,
Of course, yeah.
my feeling was, okay, well, first of all, that's a real stereotype that we just all hang out in bars. And I will tell you,
For all of
all-
our street corners and
of all of my gay friends, the number of them that hang out in bars, I can count on one hand.
yeah,
It's not, I think at a certain point in time, it was, I think, a lot more prevalent. But I think, I don't know. I think over the last 15 years, 20 years,
yeah.
we've kind of, to a certain degree, moved on from
I
that.
think that was the only way to ever meet people.
It was.
Yeah.
It was,
Now
I think.
It's definitely a
a good point.
foundational part of the community was the bar scene, and then it gravitated into the clubs, and it is important because Eli, my partner, is very much. He's not a big drinker. He likes wine, stuff like that. So if you invite him to a wine bar, that's one thing. But he's not a huge drinker, and he won't not go to like a club or something like that. But he likes. So he's a good example of a type of person that would like you guys would like to go to the same type of a place. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to find that balance. Like, I'm not always want to go to a club, but I like to go dancing every now and then and have a couple drinks. But then on that same side of the scale, I'm not necessarily as big into like sitting in a bar, a specific bar. You know what I mean? Like, I like maybe the ones geared more toward the fun of dancing and socializing.
Yeah, I always like going to a place that has a primary focus, and the fact that it's a gay scene is secondary to it. Where I hung out in New York City was a hole in the wall, really. It's a show tunes piano bar. If it was a straight bar, I would have gone there because it's the show tunes part that I enjoy,
Yeah.
singing show tunes. It happens to be a gay bar.
It's funny how you put it like that, because that's honestly how, when I try to get people to go to some places that are like gay, I'll start with my friends where I'm like, well, it's like there's a restaurant, Hamburger Mary's, where I'm like, well, it's gay, but it's not like it's not
Right.
exclusively to gay people.
It's not like Kinsey 5 gay.
It's like, it's kitschy and it's fun and it's welcoming atmosphere, but you have to be, to really get the most out of it, you have to know the gay community a little bit. But it's just one of those where I'm like, but they make really good food, so I always try to get people to go. But it's like an inversion of what you're saying.
Yeah, it has a primary focus that's not we're gay.
Right, yeah.
It's we do this. Oh, and by the way, we're also gay.
Yeah.
Type thing.
And these are the things that we're going to explore and talk about on future episodes. For today's show, though, I wanted to talk about specifically why is Disney so appealing to the LGBTQ community, and that is really tough. I'm just going to say gay and lesbian from now on. I'm not trying to exclude anybody, but sitting here trying to say LGBTQ, it does not roll off the tongue. Why is it that Disney is so appealing to our community?
Mickey Mouse is a closet case.
Okay. Bringing it back from camp.
He is.
Let's.
We got a pig in the house. Nasty pig.
What were you saying, Pete? I'm sorry, that was completely.
Yeah, I can see where this is going to go, and somebody's going to get slapped before the hour's over.
That should be like one of the
So
things.
let's
who gets
yeah,
slapped on
really
the episode.
bring it back from camp, okay? And I'm asking a serious question: why is it that why is it you think Disney is, I think obviously Disney appeals to a wide variety of people, But I think in specific, it seems to have an almost Barbra Streisand-esque like appeal among the gay and lesbian community. Why do you think that is?
Well, Brian, you actually made a point that I think was a valid thing earlier when we were speaking earlier about you were saying you can go and do you remember what you said?
Well, what?
Because I don't want to say it.
Oh,
so you say it.
No. Without sounding morbid, it's a place that you can. Disney's a place where you can go and not. You kind of forget about the bad side of being gay, and the pain. Sometimes there's a lot of pain involved, and it's something that takes that away.
Well, I'll step back just a little to make it even a little more broader than that. Is that it's true? Disney is known for, especially I think Disney World, because it's very all encompassing, is known for being a place where you go in the real world is supposed to not exist while you're there, and you make a very valid point. Is it's a place where you can go and forget about all your worries. I feel like that's a song lyric, but and. So when you're there, that kind of fades away, and so it brings people who have gone through stuff. To bring Kathy Whirling's story into it about her when her husband passed away, she felt it was the first place she could go and not be, kind of shunned as a widow. Right. And I think that story also appeals to like how you said it, is that you can go and people aren't just going to shun you because you're gay. Right. I mean, whether they know you're gay or not, it's just a place where we're all there to celebrate the inner like child of us, the happiness, the innocence of it. And so when you're there, it's kind of like it's less judgy.
Yeah, and I think it gives you that feeling that everything's going to be okay. I come from, a lot of people come from a place and go in there and in a happy place about proud of being gay and things. It took me, and I'm still not there. It took me a long time to be able to say that I'm proud of being gay. It was more of a place that I could go and feel less. I don't even know. I don't know how to put it into words. A place that you can go and feel like it's okay. It's going to be okay.
Well,
it's going to be okay.
There's an escape quality. There's an escapist quality to it. And, I've shared, on the show many times my story. I'm a recovering alcoholic and drug addict. In my first round of sobriety, because there were rounds, my first round of sobriety, I think I was sober about maybe a year, 2 years. The first time I came to Disney World. And, I remember saying to me in Epcot, just kind of saying, this is what I did drugs to feel like. Everything's clean, everybody's friendly, everything's perfect, there are no problems. And I think your point, Brian, is well taken that, especially in the coming out process, it is a really painful time. And a lot of people that haven't gone through it can't really appreciate how difficult that is. And that, again, Disney being an escapist area from that. But also for me, when I first met John and I, who's my business partner, is my ex now, but when we first met and started coming to Disney, this was the mid-'90s, and it was a place where it was okay for us to be a gay couple and not feel like we had to watch or we could just be ourselves. And, I've said this before, I have experienced pretty much everything Disney has to offer. I've been to most of their theme parks. I've been on Adventures by Disney trips. I've been on Disney Cruise Line. I've been to Aulani. I've been on, you name it. Pretty much any experience Disney has, I've done. And almost all of it done with my partner, whoever that was at the time. And never once felt that I wasn't welcome, never once felt self-conscious, never once felt that I was being judged. Just the opposite. And I think that's one of the things that also makes Disney appealing to a lot of folks in our community, is that here is this brand that is so closely associated with Americana and so closely associated with families. And it's not a company that's tolerant of alternative lifestyles. It's a company that embraces them and did before it was fashionable. Disney was one of the first Fortune 20 companies to extend domestic partner benefits to their employees. And if those of you remember back in the late 90s, early 2000s, the boycotts that were organized against Disney for that very reason. And I was always impressed with how Disney never wavered in the face of that, and never has. And I think their track record on these issues has been unimpeachable, in my opinion. I don't know if maybe.
No, I think Disney is a clear example of a company that, quote unquote, traditional family values and embracing alternative lifestyles are not mutually exclusive things.
Correct.
They can all come together, and it's an example to the rest of the country and the rest of
And
the world that
and society
it can be done.
and society hasn't collapsed in the process.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I
What, you disagree?
I don't disagree. I don't feel as emphatic about it as you two might, but I don't necessarily feel like they've ever championed for a cause when they could have. But you know, again, when have they ever actually done that either? Though they've never really. They're a powerful company that does like commit to things, which I do respect about them quite a bit, and I do, you know, I did take advantage of those domestic partner benefits while I worked there. So I was very happy that those were in place, and I think that they're very considerate as well when it comes to that.
Well, they're not going to be corporate activists.
No, and I don't, you know, and that's that. They're very much a company that doesn't involve themselves in social. Oh my gosh, I cannot remember the term for it when you have like social responsibility as a corporation, but I'd like to see more in the advertisement of like, so we talk about that alternative lifestyle and how comfortable, how embracing they are of it. I'd love to see just an ad that has two dads in it, two moms in it, something like that someday. Even if I'm not asking for a TV commercial, I'm not asking for anything. I'm asking for just like a one sheet in a magazine or something like that. You know, I think that they're at a point where they have embraced it 100 for sure. I agree with that 100%. I'd like to see them kind of make that more publicly known now, and they should tiptoe around it a little bit.
Do we know that they don't? Do we know that, you know, like in The Advocate or in other gay publications, that they don't advertise that? I haven't seen it. I don't know that they do. But like, I don't know that they don't.
Unofficially supportive of gay days, so it's a weird, like, why aren't they just officially
supportive
of it? You know,
because they don't do that. They do not do that with any. They don't do it for Night of Joy. They don't do it for anything else. They are welcoming to all. You know, their line is welcoming to all guests.
Yeah.
And they do make, you know, concessions for, you know, large crowds, whether it's gay days, Night of Joy.
Yeah.
You know, the difference being, you know, Night of Joy is a hard ticket event. You pay a certain amount of money to buy a ticket to go to the Magic Kingdom and experience Night of Joy, whereas gay days isn't a hard ticket.
Well, they do have a hard ticket event for a Disney thing too. Yeah, but that's the thing.
Yeah,
they
that
do
just
let them
started.
do that too.
Well,
they've been doing that since I've lived here. So they used to do it at Hollywood Studios, and then they moved it into the water parks. So like I do appreciate that they do stuff like that. You know, I'm just I think they're great, and I
Well, you know, and Disney's primary focus in terms of their acceptance is on their cast members.
Yeah.
And that's where it needs to be. You know, companies, especially when you're talking about publicly traded companies, very rarely are activist.
Yeah.
In terms of, you know, they don't discriminate, but they don't, you know, they have to. Their job as a company is to appeal to a wide swath.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm
America.
not saying they have to be an activist, but I think that the gay community is a wide, like. So I'm just saying I'd like to see it reflected in the advertisement at some point in the future. I mean, you know, the same way that I like to see interracial couples in ads, because, you know, not everybody's parents are two white pieces of bread, you know, and so and you know, we see that more and more every day. It's weird that it's 2016 to me, and it's not like just they don't just like pick two people out of a crowd and you're the couple in the thing. It's that it's all broken down, you know, and that's an
that's
advertising
marketing
thing. But yeah,
that's marketing.
And
I mean,
so
you aim for a certain market that you feel right now is, so like right now, two of the things that a lot of the marketing is aimed at is Hispanic families and multi-generational travelers. So grandparents, parents, kids. That's like, that's right now, that's the big thing. And that's what you see a lot of advertisements and a lot of their marketing dollars going towards.
I should give them credit too, because actually there is a commercial now. There's finally a commercial. There was that Downtown Disney commercial, and it's not the one that's necessarily edited on TV to look like this, but it's the extended look at Disney Springs. Has a girl who runs back, and granted, there's a woman and two men next to each other, but they try to argue that the girl belongs to the two men. And so, like, the woman is there for people who may be doubting another. So they are tiptoeing into it. Which I do. So you know what? I should take back what I say, and I should say I respect that they're doing that.
It's that half step. They're trying to please everyone. See, right. I don't want to defend them for for the reasons you're saying. They should be more supportive, 100%. But I also do get that their number one job as a publicly traded company is to make money, and they don't want to offend anyone. And it's a bad business decision to try and offend anyone. And the truth is, the gay community isn't that offended by the adverts that are out there at the minute.
No, of course not.
But by taking that extra step to please us, they could offend somebody else. So I think they're doing a really good job of trying to balance that as a business and still be inclusive with us, because you do see those nods towards gay people in the park. You see like some of the merchandise, which is 100% aimed at gay people. It's got the rainbow on it, and you see more of it increased around gay days. I've seen it myself. So they're aware of what's going on, but they will not, for business reasons, they will not publicly say, we support you. And I'm not sticking up for them.
Oh, but they do, though. They absolutely do. They have been very, very clear that of their support for the community. And, most importantly, in their hiring practices, in their employment practices. And
I should say, too, during Orlando, the Come Out With Pride event that actually got canceled because of Hurricane Matthew, they do have an area every year where they have volunteers that come down there, and they do some stuff down there. And I always do. It makes me smile to see that area of that a little bit. But speaking of employees and how they've been with their employees, what's great about that is, I brought up this Tina Fey's autobiography has a little quote about she went to this like theater camp when she was younger. This man had started it, unintentionally created this like safe haven for gays. And so she compared it to being like, sometimes you build a bird feeder and it attracts squirrels. And she was like, so this man built this amazing bird feeder and it was just filled with squirrels. And it was the best bird feeder that anyone had ever built. And that's sometimes how I feel about Disney, is that, especially in the employee base, is that it just started happening that, it's a company, and I mean this in the best of way. I'm not trying to be offensive to anybody, but when you say you work at Disney World, I have the mentality of you're gay until proven straight. and like, it's one of the only places in my life that I think I've ever been where I've felt like that. And I think that's a great, and again, I say it in like a jesting manner, but I think that's a testament.
And I think what has always impressed me is that Disney's embrace of our community has never smacked of political correctness to me. It's always smacked of genuine, this is the right thing to do. Like I said, they were doing it before it was fashionable. Yeah. They were doing it when people were still boycotting companies that did this. You don't see that very much anymore. And because a Fortune 20 company like Disney did that, stood up to those boycotts and those protests, would not back down, and eventually emerged victorious, it then cleared the path for a lot of other companies to do the same thing. It gave them cover. That Disney's doing it, so can we. And so while they may not be activist in the sense of they're out there pouring lobbying money into, gay and lesbian issues, they were, by adopting that and standing with it, not bending to what at one point was an enormous amount of pressure from the Southern Baptist Conference, boycotting Disney in a very vocal way. And they did not bow to that pressure. And as a result, I think it did clear the way for other companies to kind of jump on board. That if a brand like Disney can do it, we can do it too. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's part of why. I'll speak for myself. I'm not fit to speak for the community at large. I can speak for myself. I think that's one of the reasons I feel so comfortable there. is that it is this sense of not, oh, it's the right, it's the politically correct thing to do to celebrate you, which drives me insane. It's when it's just, that's the way it is, and we're cool with it, and we're glad you're here, and there's not a big deal made out of it.
I think for me, coming from the world that I came from, there is a stark difference.
Right, New York City police officer.
Yeah, in how the world is, the people around you, the employer is treated. It treats their employees, and I'm not speaking badly about the police department, but it isn't the most conducive to a gay lifestyle, and to being open. And when I came down and see Disney, and I see the Disney cast members, and I'm just like, yeah, how cool would that be to just be able to be, like not have to worry about it, and have an employer and a job and a career that, is really just, very cool with it. And,
Right.
That. So I guess that's why I probably see it in a little more of a bright eye.
And I guess
I when it comes to working there, for sure, because Eli had a domestic partner pass, all that stuff. I didn't usually feel different when it came to that stuff. I thought they were very good about just kind of making it equal. It's just kind of some of the language is a little tiptoed around too, so it makes it kind of like it's like what you said. It's for everybody. It's wasn't just domestic partner. It was kind of like their definition of a domestic partner could just be somebody you've roomed with for a couple of years, And right. But that's also maybe that was their way of like being friendly.
I don't know about. I know back in 2000 when John was working for them and we were together. We had to show a joint checking account. We had to show a lease with both our names on it.
No.
In order to get which wasn't a problem because we had a joint checking account and we had a lease with both our names on it, so that wasn't a problem. But
I just had to call somebody and tell them.
Yeah.
If I had lived with Eli for more than a year, he was my domestic partner.
If I remember correctly, it was just a tick box on a piece of paper.
Yeah,
for
that's all
Spencer.
it was.
They've just stopped asking questions.
So you take a look at even that then. You take a look at that over the course of a decade.
Yeah.
And how they, just kind of said, okay, well, there are domestic partners that may not have a lease together, may not have a joint checking account together. And, if they wanted to be inclusive, but at the same time on the QT be exclusive, they could have kept, restrictions in it.
They make it jump through hoops.
And it's the same, I believe, it's the same for heterosexual couples as it is for us. Same thing. They get domestic partner benefits. It's not just for gays, it's for unmarried heterosexual couples.
Yeah, that's how the wording was in the thing for me.
And so it just applies to everyone. So I think that's certainly part of the appeal. I don't think this is by any means the sum total of the appeal, and I'm sure many of you will have your own thoughts and feelings on what attracts you to Disney. What is it about Disney that appeals to you? It's something we can talk about on a future show. But I think it's a good start to this. In terms of how often we're going to do this, I'm not sure yet. It's going to kind of depend on feedback. It's going to kind of depend on the ideas we come up with. This is a test balloon. This may be the only one of these we do. It may be the first one of these we do. We're going to find out. But we'll look for your feedback and see what you think and what you'd like to see in this format. So that will do it for this episode of The Extraordinarily Gay Show starring Rhino Clavin.
Glitter. It's me on the club again.
And we will see you again next time. Thanks for being with us, everybody.